Hello students, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we will be continuing with the next part of the story The Gardener by P Lankesh. Before going into the video, if anyone is seeing the channel for the first time or if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and share it with your friends, and also click the bell button to receive notifications whenever I upload new videos. So without wasting time, let us get into the video. So let us just revise the points which we have studied in the last video. So we studied about a coconut plantation in which an old man came to work from a far off place, and because of this old man there was a lot of benefits in the coconut plantation. That is, petty thefts in the garden came to an end, income from the garden improved, and because of this there was also change in the lifestyle and character of the owner of the plantation. The owner of the plantation became more lethargic, that is lazy. He was not doing any hard work, and he had acquired many friends in his town and in the next town, and also he was engaged in many bad characters like adultery. And because of all these things, the owner's wife became very upset. And one day this old man who was taking care of the farm, he came to this owner's wife and started to tell a story. The story was about two people, that is Tamanna and Vasavaya. According to the old man, this Tamanna and Vasavaya were rivals, or they had a lot of competition between each other. If Tamanna bought some land, Vasavaya also started buying. If Tamanna had friends, Vasavaya also started adding friends. So in this way, Tamanna had 1000 acres of land and Vasavaya had 800 acres. That time Vasavaya told Tamanna that he should sell his 200 acres so that they become equal. Tamanna did not agree, and Vasavaya forcefully took 200 acres of land from Tamanna. And this became a big problem, and many people advised Tamanna on many methods, but Tamanna adopted a new method, that is, he started to compose ballads. Ballads are songs narrating stories in short. And in these songs, what Tamanna said about Basavaya's cruelty, how he took land from him and how that was not correct, and all those things. So that was what we studied in the last video. So now Tamanna started composing ballads and Basavaya did not know what to do. And when Tamanna started composing ballads, Basavaya had no answer to this. Okay, so Tamanna, he took a new method, that is, he started composing ballads or songs against or telling the stories of Basavaya's cruelty. But that time Basavaya had no answer to this. He did not know what to do. He also tried to sing. Basavaya also tried to sing but could not. He was not able to. He was not an artist. And he performed his agricultural task more diligently. Basavaya, he tried to sing and all, but he was not able to do. So he started to do his agricultural work more diligently. Agriculture was where he was an expert. So he started to do his agricultural work more diligently, means with more care, properly he started to do. This too was no answer to Tamanna. Why? Because Tamanna's reputation started spreading all over. Tamanna started to become famous. His reputation, his opinions started to spread all over the place. People started to talk about Tamanna. He became famous. His songs started making a mention of Basavaya's cruelty and his meekness. So as I told, what was there in Tamanna's songs? Tamanna's songs were full of Basavaya's cruelty and his meekness. Meekness means his unkind, unfair activities. Meekness, that is unfairness. That unfair activity he did. As we all know, Basavaya forcefully took Tamanna's land. That was not a fair activity, that was an unfair activity, that was a cruel activity. So Tamanna's songs completely said about Vasavaya's cruelty and his meanness, sorry, not meekness, it is meanness, about his meanness. And scholars of folklore were after him. Many scholars, many educated people who learn about the folklore, that is traditional beliefs, customs and all, they were going behind Tamanna to know more about his songs. So his songs became very famous. Critics started analyzing and translating his songs. Many critics or many people who judged, or many judges and all, started to analyze his songs. They started to translate his songs and thus earned their share of fame. And Basavaya watched all these helplessly. Okay, so Basavaya was very upset with this. Whatever he tried to do, Tamanna was becoming more and more famous. So he started watching all these things helplessly. He was not able to do anything, consumed by anger. So Basavaya was very angry. He was very upset because Tamanna's fame started to spread everywhere. So as we see here, Basavaya helplessly watched all this, consumed by anger. He encroached more and more into Tamanna's land. So what Basavaya did, Basavaya continuously encroached. Encroached means he started to acquire more land from Tamanna, acquire more land, or he started to intrude into someone's territory, encroached Tamanna's land. So that was even a bad thing which Vasavaya was doing. When Vasavaya was becoming very famous like this, Tamanna encroached more and more Vasavaya encroached more and more into Tamanna's land. Tamanna did not notice any of these activities. So he was not bothered. He did not notice any of these activities. Let him take how much ever he want. Let Basavaya take the land. He did not notice any of these activities. Art became the raison d'etre of his life. So Tamanna's life changed. For him, art became the raison d'etre. What is raison d'etre? Raison d'etre. Raison d'etre means reason for existence. Reason for existence. So art became the reason for existence of Tamanna. That is, Tamanna's life completely started to be depending on art. His reason for living only became art. So he was not bothered about how Basavaya is coming and acquiring more land and all. He was now interested in art. Art means his songs, his ballads. He was more interested in that. So Tamanna did not notice any of these activities, and art had become the raison d'etre of his life. That is the reason for his living. He was felicitated as the best poet of his time. Tamanna was felicitated. Felicitated means he was praised or he was honored. He was honored as the best poet of his time. So like this, Tamanna completely changed or got converted into an artist, and Basavaya continued to acquire more land from Tamanna. So now what happened when Tamanna became one of the best poet of the time? He was very famous as the best poet of the time. Vasavaya shrunk in humiliation. Vasavaya was ashamed with this, ashamed of what he did and ashamed with all these things which happened. Nevertheless, he started filling his life with all kind of material wealth. When Tamanna became an artist, Basavaya started to fill his life with material wealth. What is material wealth? Material wealth, what all he did? He got a palatial mansion. Palatial mansion, that is a huge house which looked like a palace. Okay, so which looked like a palace, a huge house he got. He appointed a number of persons just to praise him. Okay, there was number of people in his house to praise him. He has so much money, so he appointed people to praise him. He he bedecked himself with gold, diamond, and other precious stones. That is, he decorated himself. Bedecked means he decorated himself with gold, jewelry, diamond, all those things, and precious stones. He started decorating himself. But with all these things, his house looked dull and empty. He had all these things, but his house looked dull and empty. Why did his house look dull and empty? Because Tamanna's books were not there. That is why his house looked dull and empty, because Tamanna's books were not there. What does the author mean by this? Whatever material wealth he had, that is his palatial house, people to praise him, decorations with gold, diamond, everything he had, it was not at all equal to Tamanna's books. Tamanna's books had more value than all these material things. Why? Because even though he decorated his house with all these things, his house looked dull and empty, because Tamanna's books were not there. That much value Tamanna's books had. That was what the author meant by this. That is what the visitors told. The visitors also told that your house is so beautiful, it has so costly things, but your house is dull and empty because Tamanna's books are not there. Therefore, he started inviting scholars, poets, and musicians to his place. This was his way of investing his home with meaning. So, when all the people started telling this, Vasavaya started to invite many learned people, that is, scholars, poets, musicians, all these kind of people he invited to his house and tried to make meaning in his home. That is, his house had to have some meaning. For that, he started calling all these people. Now, one day he came to know that Tamanna was ill. So, one day what happened? Basavaya came to know that Tamanna was ill. At that point, Basavaya found the means of surpassing Tamanna. So, this was something good for Basavaya. That point he found means, he found a way to surpass, that is, excel or become more famous or excel from Tamanna. Health is wealth. So Basavaya thought, health is wealth. You may sing, you may write ballads, but if Tamanna started suffering from disease, surely his own spirits would be restored, or revived. So he said that health is wealth, that is very important. You may sing, you will be able to sing, you may write ballads, you can also write ballads, but if Tamanna started suffering from disease, that is, if Tamanna's health is deteriorating, then surely his own spirits would be revived, his own spirits would be restored. And that means it is said that Tamanna's illness or Tamanna's sickness was Basavaya's health. Okay, Basavaya's health. That is, his enemy's sickness was the other rival's health. So that was what was meant by the author here. So Tamanna became ill during this time, and during this time Basavaya thought that you can sing songs, you can write ballads, whatever it is, but the problem is if your health is not there, then your own spirits would be revived. So Tamanna's disease became Basavaya's health. So that was what happened in the story. However, by this time Tamanna had thought of yet another method of punishing Basavaya. So Tamanna, even though he was not well, he was thinking, see, now I am not well, so I cannot do anything. So he thought of yet another method. He somehow was not satisfied by punishing Basavaya. Although he has become very famous, everything had happened, he started to think of yet another method of punishing Basavaya. That was death. That was death. Death was another method of punishing. So this is a very strange thing. Will someone punish his enemy by thinking of his own death? So Tamanna thought, My death will be another punishment for Vasavaya. So if he continued at the level of the body, Vasavaya would go on offering a stiff competition. So Tamanna thought, if I continue by living like this, then Vasavaya will continue to have competition, stiff competition. But if his song was separated from his body, so Tamanna is thinking, if his song is separated from his body, that means simple thing, that means if he die, he is thinking of death. Song is separated from body means after death body will not be there, so song is separated from the body. So if song is separated from his body, if there was no relation between songs and his own flesh and blood, this is how his thoughts went. So Tamanna started thinking in a very strange way. So this was a strange way of thinking which Tamanna had. If I die, or if my song is separated from my body, or if there is no relation between the songs and my flesh and blood, like that Tamanna started thinking, and he started thinking, if you do like this, that will be again like punishing Vasavaya. So that is when I realized how strange human nature can be. The old man began his explanation to the owner's wife. So, as we all know, the old man is telling the story of Tamanna and Vasavaya. So, after telling this last sentence, that is, Tamanna was thinking of his death. After that, the old man is telling, that is when I realized how strange human nature can be, how strangely human beings can think. Can anyone think like this? Can anyone think of his own death like this? So like this, the old man started telling to the owner's wife. Then he started saying, man is very strange. Man needs wealth, man needs education, he needs art, he needs many more things. And yet he lives for some kind of unbearable vengefulness. So the old man said, man is very strange. He needs wealth, he needs education, he needs art. But even then, he lives for some kind of unbearable vengefulness. Unbearable vengefulness, that is the revenge which you cannot endure. Vengefulness means revenge, okay? Revenge which unbearable, which you cannot endure, which you cannot take. So man lives for some kind of revenge. Always man wants to have revenge against someone. Without it, there would be no reason for his existence. That is, revenge, or we can say some kind of unhealthy competition, is always needed for man to live. Otherwise, he is saying that there is no reason for existence, no reason for existence. That is how strange man is. Man needs some kind of competition. Man needs a reason to live. And what is a reason to live? Reason to live is becoming more powerful than someone, becoming more rich than someone, becoming more famous than someone. That is the need for man to live. That is the revenge, or that is the competition which is the reason for man to live. So the old man is telling that man is so strange that the reason for him to live is just competition against someone else. If there is no one to give him competition, then man is thinking it is better to die. That is how strange man is. This is what the old man is trying to say. Without it, there would be no reason for his existence. This is not a real story, only what I have heard somewhere. After this, the old man is telling to the owner's wife, this is not a real story. This is not a real story which I told you. Only what I have heard somewhere. I have heard it somewhere. That's it. You may know that I subscribe to a daily. I think you know that I receive some monthly subscription. I buy some monthly, some subscriptions are there. To you, I am just an old man. Now he is telling to the owner's wife, to you, I am just an old man. After a particular age, man loses his name. His age becomes more important and his name vanishes into thin air. So the old man is telling, after someone becomes old, his age becomes important, okay? His age becomes important. His name will not be important. His name vanishes, his name disappears, and his age becomes more important. Now I am an old man in this garden. You know, I am an old man in this garden. Your servant. I am also the person who reads the newspaper and looks after the garden properly. You just know that I am an old man in this garden. I take care of this garden. I also read newspaper and look after the garden properly. I conceived the story of Tamanna and Vasavaya when all of a sudden, now he is telling that he's again trying to tell that this is just a story. This is just a story which I made. And he's telling that I made the story all of a sudden when Russia told America, I'm not your enemy. So now he's telling an example which he saw in newspaper. He's telling that once in newspaper I saw that Russia told America that I am not your enemy. I am not your enemy, and I shall not wage a war against you. What must have been the reaction of America, the sworn enemy of Russia, to this declaration? See, Russia and Americans were sworn enemies. Okay, they were enemies. And one day, suddenly, Russia told America that I am not your enemy. Now I will not fight any war with you. That time, what must have been America's reaction? Because they are basically enemies. Probably you will not understand the agony and boredom of America. He is telling that you will not know the pain of America. Okay, the pain, the agony, the boredom of America once it knew Russia was no more an enemy. Why he is telling this? He is telling that always we as human beings, or man's nature is that they need some kind of competition. Same like two countries. See, Russia and America were enemies. When Russia told America that I am not your enemy, I will not wage any war against you, that time probably you will not understand the pain and boredom of America once it knew Russia was no more an enemy. A nation is capable of withstanding strains like this. Maybe countries can withstand pain like this. When they don't have enemy also, somehow countries will adjust. But a human being cannot. He is telling that human being cannot withstand such a strain, cannot withstand the strain of what? Of not having a rival. That is, a human being always is in need of a rival, is in need of a competition. Countries sometimes can withstand this pain, but he is telling that a human being cannot. I suffered a similar fate. Suddenly he started to tell that I also had a similar fate that I also faced in my life. I thought my death alone could destroy Basavaya. So he told a very important sentence here. I thought my death alone could destroy Basavaya. So from this we understand very clearly that the old man is none other than Tamanna. Okay, so he is telling that I thought my death alone could destroy Basavaya. That is what Tamanna thought, no? So old man was telling it as a story, but finally it came from his own mouth. I thought my death alone could destroy Basavaya. I gave up everything and started off. Now he is telling that after thinking like that, I gave up everything and came away from my place. I started off. A few days after I left, Basavaya passed away. So he is telling that after some days of Tamanna leaving the village, Basavaya passed away. Basavaya died. That means Vasavaya also could not tolerate without a competition. So when Tamanna went away, Vasavaya also after some days he died. He had no more reason to live. Same thing. Now Basavaya also did not have a reason to live. If Tamanna is there, Basavaya has competition. If Basavaya is there, Tamanna has competition. Without each other, they don't have reason to live. So that is what was said by the old man, and the old man was none other than Tamanna. My name is Tamanna. Now he introduced himself. My name is Tamanna. After his death, that is after Basavaya's death, I forgot all my songs and ballads. That is, he wrote songs and ballads against Vasavaya. So when Vasavaya died, he's telling that I forgot all my songs and ballads. I, who was once famous, became a non-entity. I was so famous. Till Basavaya was there, I was very famous. Now I became non-entity. That is a person who does not exist, non-existent. I became a existent. Okay, so I became non-existence. Thus, I avenged myself. He is telling that I avenged myself. Avenged myself. That is, I inflicted harm on myself. Okay, harm on myself. So that is why he is telling that I avenged myself. Now he again is talking to this owner's wife. Your husband is flourishing today. Your husband is very rich today. He is flourishing today, and he is not amenable to any advice. That is, he is not open to any advice. Amenable means not open to advice. That is, he will not listen to anyone. Whoever advises him, he will not listen. Man is so complicated that till the day of his death, he goes on living for some revenge or other. He is telling that man's life is so complicated that till his death, he will live for some revenge or the other, some kind of revenge, confronting one challenge or the other, facing one challenge or the other, or doing competition against someone, or taking revenge against someone. Like that only man will live till his death. Amma, do not think otherwise. Now he is telling to the owner's wife, don't think otherwise. Just assume I did not tell you any of this. Just think that I have not told anything to you. Or think all this happened in a dream. Or just think that all this was some kind of a dream. I have not told to you anything. You just forget all these things. The laborers have started going home. The workers all were going home. It was very late in the evening. And Tamanna told, or the old man told, that young child of Lokya paints well. He was telling about one of the laborers' child, that is that young child of Lokya paints very well, and he is bedridden with fever. He is having fever. Let me go and visit him. I shall pay him a visit. So telling this, the old man went away. So this was what happened. Basically, it was meant to say that man needs a reason to live. And till his death, the reason is revenge or competition against someone. If there is no competition, man is having no enthusiasm to live, then there is no reason for him to live. So this is what, and when Tamanna was alive, Basavaya had a reason to live, and Basavaya was alive, Tamanna had a reason to live. So thus was the life of man. It was very, or it is very strange. And finally, the author is telling, forgive me, unable to elaborate. I have told you whatever I felt as it is. So whatever I felt, I have told it as it is. I am not able to give more explanation again, about all these things. I had seen all this in a dream. So this is how the lesson is ending. So I hope you have understood the story, basic story. And if you have any doubts, you can ask in the comment section. And also don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Your likes and shares will be of a great encouragement for me to make more and more videos. So I hope to see you all soon in the coming video. Thank you for watching.